After Christmas gift exchange, my daughter unwrapped socks, while her cousins got iPads and cash. She whispered, "Did I do something wrong?" My mom said, "They're just more deserving." I smiled, gathered our things and left. The next morning they got a surprise that made them come running, panicking, pleading. My name's Katie, I'm 37 and I'm from a small town just outside of Knoxville, Tennessee. I work as a school secretary and I'm the daughter no one brags about. Not the favorite. Not the one they save a seat for at the table. My parents, especially my mom, worship my older sister Dana. She married into money, looks like someone who's always just stepped out of a Pinterest board, and gave them 3 camera-ready grandchildren who sing, dance and do competitive cheer. They get the spotlight, the applause, the heirlooms. Ivy, my daughter, gets second-hand comments and fake smiles. And here's the part that rips me apart. Ivy still tries. He still hopes. She still wants their love like it means something. Every time we pull into their driveway, she sits up straighter, pulls at her shirt and asks me if she looks okay. Every time. And I always say the same thing, "You look more than okay. You look like someone I'd want to be when I grow up." But it doesn't matter to them. Ivy's not their kind of kid. She's a little overweight, doesn't dance, doesn't sparkle. My mom has made comments, quiet ones, sharp ones, and my dad never corrects her. Ivy's asked before if she annoys grandma. I lied and said no. This Christmas was supposed to be a small one. That's what my mom said in her text. Keep the gifts reasonable. She sends that message every year, but it hits different when you know your kid is the only one they're referring to. I bought Ivy a new sketch set and a beginner's graphic tablet. She loves drawing characters, especially ones that look nothing like her. Tall, thin, glittering. We showed up the day after Christmas for our turn. Dana and her kids were already there. Her oldest was showing off a new iPad. The middle one had a crisp envelope full of cash and a Bluetooth speaker. Ivy sat quietly in her reindeer pajamas with a gift in her lap. The frame she made for my mom. She had painted it herself. Light blue with tiny glued seashells and a picture of her and grandma from 5 years ago. She was so proud of it. No one noticed. No one even picked it up. Then it was her turn to receive a gift. My mom handed her a small wrinkled bag without a name tag. Inside were 4 pairs of plain gray socks. No bows, no note, no nothing. Ivy stared for a second and then looked up at me. Did I do something wrong? Before I could answer, my mom spoke. They're just more deserving. Like it was a fact. Like it was nothing. Dana didn't say a word. Her kids didn't flinch. My dad just reached for more ham like none of it had happened. Ivy folded the socks and tried to smile, but I saw it. That quiet shutdown kids do when they start giving up. We didn't stay long after that. I helped her into her coat, grabbed our bag and told everyone we had to get going. My mom waved like I was the mailman, like I'd already overstayed. No hugs. No thank you. No acknowledgement of the frame Ivy left sitting on the end table. That was the last time I walked out of their house quietly. What they never knew, what they never asked, is that the trust fund grandpa left when he passed away, the one they think my mom controls, it's under my name, fully. He changed it when he got sick. Said he wanted Ivy taken care of, that he'd seen the favoritism. I never told them. I just waited. And now it was time. The next morning my phone was blowing up before I'd even made coffee. Missed calls. Voicemails. My dad even showed up at my front door, pale and shaky. They had all received the alert from the bank. Frozen accounts. Withdrawals pending. Trust fund activity flagged. All legal. All done through me. By noon they were outside my house. Running. Panicking. Pleading. And for the first time in a long, long time, I didn't feel small. My dad was the first to knock. He stood there like someone had just told him the house was on fire. I didn't open the door. I just stood in the hallway looking at him through the peephole while Ivy sat in the living room sketching a girl in armor. Then came Dana's texts. Mom says you're being dramatic. Why are you doing this to the whole family? Call me. I didn't. Instead, I made breakfast for Ivy. I let her add whipped cream to her waffles. We watched a documentary about owls. She didn't ask why grandma hadn't called. Around 2 p.m. I got an email confirmation. The funds from the trust had officially moved to my personal account. Every cent my grandfather left for the long-term care and protection of Katie and her child. His words. I had waited 5 years. Let my parents pretend they were managing it. Let them talk about tight budgets and unexpected expenses, while spoiling Dana's kids with designer backpacks and beach vacations. They had no idea he'd changed the paperwork. He never trusted my mom with money, or with Ivy. At 4 p.m. my parents showed up again. This time with Dana. Ivy was upstairs, door closed, headphones on. I opened the door just enough for them to see my face. My mom didn't say hello. She launched straight in. What are you doing? That money wasn't supposed to be touched until Ivy turned 18. I reminded her that she wasn't listed on the trust, that her name was nowhere on it, that Grandpa changed it after that trip to Florida, the one where Ivy came back sunburned and said she wasn't beach pretty like Lily. She started denying it, said I was twisting things. Dana jumped in trying to mediate. Can we all calm down? This is just a misunderstanding. Let's talk. I said I'd only talk under one condition. They apologized to Ivy. Not just a sorry. Not a quick hug and pat on the head. I wanted them to kneel down, look her in the eyes and tell her they had failed her. Because they had. And I wasn't letting them rewrite the story this time. They refused. My mom said I was being cruel, manipulative, vindictive. That I was tearing the family apart. My dad tried to be the peacemaker. Let's sit down, figure this out. You don't want lawyers involved. But I was already a step ahead. I showed them the printout from the lawyer. A detailed summary of every transaction that had come from the trust fund over the past few years. Several of them, not authorized by me. They'd been dipping into it, small things here and there. A new sofa. Backyard improvements. A set of flights to Cancun that they swore were a gift from Dana. It was all there. And now it was officially theft. Their faces drained. Dana looked at them like she was seeing them for the first time. My dad tried to speak again. I closed the door. Later that night, Ivy came downstairs asking if we could make popcorn. She didn't know any of this was happening. I wanted to keep it that way, at least for now. She deserved a moment of peace. Of power, even if she didn't know it yet. But this wasn't over. They hadn't learned anything. Not yet. I had more in mind. This wasn't just about money anymore. This was about reshaping the story they thought they had control of. Next step, court papers. Not to win anything, but to scare them into finally feeling what it's like to be powerless. And after that, they'd have no choice but to give Ivy what she really wanted. Love, respect, a real family. Even if I had to drag them into it, one apology at a time. The papers weren't symbolic. They were real. I filed them with my attorney the morning after they came to my door. This wasn't a bluff. Grandpa's lawyer was still practicing, still sharp as ever, and when I told him everything, the unauthorized spending, the withdrawals marked as expenses that went toward Dana's kids' private gymnastics camp and my parents' new outdoor kitchen, he didn't ask twice. He said point blank this wasn't a family matter anymore. It was financial misconduct. At best. At worst, criminal trust abuse. I didn't even flinch. I had him prepare a packet, not to send to court yet but to deliver. Personally. To my parents. And to Dana. I wanted them to see their names on paper next to phrases like potential charges and formal investigation. I wanted them to understand I wasn't their fallback anymore. I wasn't the quiet sister who swept their cruelty under the rug. I was the executor now. At 9:43 a.m. the next day, my mom opened the door to find a courier on her porch. She must have thought it was a delivery. Probably even smiled. I pictured the way her mouth twisted when she saw the return address from my lawyer. I didn't hear anything until 1:17 p.m. 3 missed calls. 1 from her. 2 from my dad. No voicemails. Then Dana showed up at my door. I didn't invite her in. She stood there in her workout gear, but she looked like she hadn't worked out. Just paced. Just panicked. She started out defensive. You're blowing this way out of proportion. You're hurting them. But it fell apart fast. Because the next thing she said was something I never thought I'd hear. They used the money for us. Not Ivy. I knew, but I didn't stop it. I should have. She admitted that her husband had questioned it once. Asked where the money came from for the new kids' tablets when my parents claimed they couldn't afford a new mattress for Ivy's room. Dana told him it was old savings from Grandpa. That's what they always said. Old savings. Vacation points. Promotional discounts. He started crying. I didn't comfort her. Then she told me what finally broke through. Lily, her youngest, had asked her why Grandma acts weird around Ivy. She said Grandma gets quiet when Ivy talks, doesn't laugh when she tells jokes, and never hugs her unless someone's watching. Dana said she didn't know what to say. That her own daughter noticed. That did it. I told her the legal process had started. That my lawyer had filed a financial report and submitted a request to freeze the remainder of the trust while we reviewed damages. I told her if my parents didn't agree to my conditions, the next step was a full audit, and that might mean charges. Dana didn't try to talk me down anymore. He asked what I wanted. I told her Ivy's birthday was in 2 weeks, and I wanted them, my parents, to host it. All of it. At their house. I wanted them to decorate, bake, plan, and pay. I wanted them to make Ivy feel like the only kid in the world. No shortcuts. No half attention. I wanted them to make her feel what their golden grandchildren had gotten every year of their lives. I also wanted letters. 2 of them. 1 from my mom. 1 from my dad. Not to me, to Ivy. I didn't care how awkward or uncomfortable it was. I didn't care how forced it felt. I wanted them to sit down, look at a blank page and figure out how to say sorry to an 11-year-old girl they spent a decade treating like a stain on the family photo. I told Dana if they pulled it off, if Ivy smiled, truly smiled, and if those letters were real, not copy-pasted apologies from Pinterest, I'd drop the process. But if they failed, I was prepared to go all the way. Dana nodded, said she'd tell them. Then she asked one more thing. Do you still want a relationship with them after this? I didn't answer right away. Then I said something that surprised even me. Oh, but Ivy does. And right now, she's the only reason I'm giving them a second chance. That night, my mom texted, "We'll do it. For Ivy." I didn't text back. Because it wasn't for Ivy. It was for them. But they'd find that out soon enough. When Ivy walked into their house on her birthday and everything they built came crashing down unless they played the role they always denied her. Loving grandparent. The invitation came in a gold envelope. That was the first surprise. It showed up in our mailbox 3 days before Ivy's birthday, sealed with a wax stamp. I thought it was some kind of mistake, something Ivy's school sent. But when I opened it, I saw it was from my parents. Formally written. Addressed to Miss Ivy Rose Hill. A birthday invitation. Hosted by Nana and Grandpa at their home Saturday at 3 p.m. A royal tea party celebration. Formal attire encouraged. I stared at it for 5 full minutes. Ivy found it later that afternoon and nearly dropped her juice box. They've never done this before, she said. He was right. Not even close. I wanted to be cynical. I wanted to believe it was just for show, that they were faking it to get me off their backs. But Ivy lit up in a way I hadn't seen in years. She started asking if we could shop for a dress. A real one. She asked if I thought they'd have cake with her name on it this time. I told her we'd make sure they did. What I didn't tell her was what I found taped to the inside of the invitation envelope. A folded note in my mom's handwriting. She deserves it. We see that now. Maybe it was real. Maybe it wasn't. But they were trying, or at least pretending well enough to fool Ivy. That Saturday, Ivy wore a pale green dress with tiny embroidered flowers and silver shoes we picked out together. She looked like the hero in one of her fantasy stories. Brave and out of place, but radiant. We pulled into my parents' driveway and stopped in silence. The house was transformed. White and gold streamers across the porch. A banner that said, "Happy Birthday Ivy" in flowing calligraphy. Someone had even rented a white tent with tables set for tea, little cupcakes on glass trays, even matching floral plates. Inside, the dining room table had been pushed aside. A handmade cardboard throne sat in the middle of the room, decorated in rhinestones and plastic ivy vines. And Ivy? She was queen for the day. My mom took her hand. My dad bowed dramatically and kissed the back of her glove. She laughed, this full, unfiltered laugh I hadn't heard since she was little. Then came the biggest surprise of the day. After cake and tea and games, my mom called everyone's attention. She pulled out 2 small boxes and handed one to Ivy. Inside was a locket. Silver. Real silver. Engraved with "You are always enough." Then she handed Ivy a sealed envelope. We all watched as Ivy read it quietly, then looked at me like she couldn't believe what she was holding. She passed it to me under the table when no one was looking. It was a full scholarship fund, opened in Ivy's name. Seated with $50,000 from my parents. Not part of the trust. Not my money. Their own. A completely separate account, only accessible to Ivy when she turns 18, and only for education or starting a business. The letter that came with it was short. "We failed you. We know that now. This won't fix everything, but it's a beginning. We hope you let us earn your trust back. Nana and Grandpa." I didn't cry. Not in front of them. But I did excuse myself to the bathroom, locked the door and stood there shaking. Part of me wanted to stay furious. Another part, the mother in me, knew this meant something bigger than revenge. It meant Ivy wouldn't carry the same bitterness I did. At least not alone. Dana helped clean up afterward. She stayed behind after her kids left, and while we were folding up the last of the streamers, she said something quietly. "You changed them. I didn't think you could. I didn't think anyone could." I didn't respond. Not yet. I wasn't sure they were changed. But for the first time I had proof they could be. When we got home, Ivy put the locket beside her bed. She didn't take it off all night. She asked if next year we could spend Christmas with Nana and Grandpa again. If they stayed this way. I said maybe. But only if they remembered who the real queen of this family was now. For the first time in Ivy's life, she didn't dread the ride past my parents' house. We'd drive by on the way to school or the grocery store, and she'd glance out the window like she was curious, not afraid. She wore the locket they gave her every day, even in gym class. She had it tucked under her shirt like it was a secret shield that meant the people who once ignored her were finally paying attention. But I didn't let the warmth of one party or one gift fool me. History had taught me too well. One apology from my parents didn't erase years of cruelty. And they didn't get to decorate a cake and call it healing. No. They were on probation, emotional and financial. I wasn't trying to punish them. I was teaching them how it felt to be held accountable. So I met with Grandpa's lawyer again. We went through the trust in microscopic detail. He'd already frozen and reviewed the financial activity, and what we found wasn't just careless. It was calculated. Repeated, consistent withdrawals that had nothing to do with Ivy's well-being. Private tennis lessons for Lily. A $2,000 espresso machine for Dana's kitchen. A patio heater set. A payment to a family wellness resort that, surprise, turned out to be a golf spa weekend. And all of it documented. With interest, the total they owed came to over $78,000. Legally, I had every right to sue. To press charges. To take them to court and let the word embezzlement permanently stain their pristine social reputation. But I didn't. Instead, I played the long game. I drafted a letter with my attorney's help. It was clear and formal, not aggressive, not emotional. Just business. You misused Ivy's trust fund. We have documented proof. You can either repay the balance voluntarily in monthly deposits into a new fund that only I and Ivy control, or we'll proceed with court filings. This is not a negotiation. It's the consequence of your actions. And I handed it to them face to face in their own living room. My mom didn't speak. She stared at the letter like it was written in a language she'd never seen. My dad read it twice, then slowly set it down on the coffee table. He looked smaller than I'd ever seen him. And for the first time in my life, no one told me I was being dramatic. No one called me emotional. No one said, let's not make this bigger than it is. They said okay. And the first payment came 2 weeks later. Then the second. Every month like clockwork. $1,500. Sent directly to Ivy's education account. Each transaction came with a note. The first few were generic, for Ivy's future. But then they got human. 1 month. We wish we had started sooner. Another, we see her now. I didn't respond. I didn't thank them. This wasn't a gift. This was a debt. But something shifted. Dana started calling just to check in. She asked how Ivy was doing in school. Asked if she could come to her next art show. I kept it short at first. Polite. But guarded. She'd sat silent for a long time. It would take more than a few phone calls to undo that. So, she came to the art show. Alone. And she brought flowers. Ivy didn't stop smiling the entire ride home. Ivy started drawing again, really drawing. She made a piece called What Safety Looks Like. It showed a castle surrounded by tall trees with a girl on the roof holding a glowing sword. I asked who the girl was. He said, that's me. And that's the castle you built. That night, I did something I never expected. I called my mom. Not to fight. Not to negotiate. I told her Ivy had made something beautiful. That she was happy. And that if this lasted, if they kept showing up, kept treating her like she mattered, maybe we could all survive this. Maybe. I didn't say we'd ever go back to how things were. That wasn't the goal. It is how things were. That's what broke Ivy. But we were building something new now. From the ruins. From the money they thought they'd stolen without consequence. From the daughter they thought they'd beaten down for good. And next Christmas? I'd be planning it. Start to finish. At their house. And this time the only list that mattered was Ivy's. We started planning Christmas in early November. My parents' house, but my rules. No more texting me what to bring. No more, keep the gifts simple. This year everything went through me. I wrote out the budget. I scheduled the shopping list. I chose every decoration down to the silverware. My dad offered to cover the food and my mom asked if Ivy had any favorite cookie recipes. I didn't trust that this was permanent yet, but I didn't need it to be. I just needed them to follow through. Ivy didn't ask for much. He never does. She made a list of what she wanted at Christmas. Not for Christmas. She asked for everyone to sit together at one table, not separated like last year. She asked for peppermint cocoa with whipped cream and crushed candy canes. She wanted to make name cards for each person with tiny drawings on them. She asked if she could bring her own playlist. And one last thing, could they hang her castle drawing in the hallway? My mom went out the next day and had it professionally framed. A gold frame with a spotlight and a little plaque underneath. What Safety Looks Like, by Ivy Rose Hill, age 11. Ivy didn't say much when she saw it. She just stood there staring at it for a minute, then whispered, I think this is the first time I've seen my art in someone else's house. Christmas morning came fast. My stomach stayed tense on the drive there like it always does. Some part of me kept waiting for the mask to slip, for someone to say something careless, to hand Ivy a last-minute gift card and call it thoughtful. But it never happened. The porch had Ivy's name in lights. Inside the gifts were perfectly even, same wrapping, same attention to detail. Ivy had 3 gifts under the tree just like her cousins. All well thought out. She unwrapped a full artist's toolkit, a sleek laptop with digital drawing software, and a huge gift card to the bookstore she always wanders through but never buys from. No socks, no clearance bin, nothing forgotten. After dinner, my mom stood up. I braced myself. Old habits die hard, but her voice was steady. She looked at Ivy and said, "We weren't fair to you for a long time. That's something we've had to face. But we're trying now, because we want to do better. And we want to keep showing up." Then my dad handed Ivy an envelope. She opened it slowly, her fingers trembling a little. Inside was confirmation for a year-long enrollment in a local art mentorship program. Paid in full. They'd already spoken to the director. The letter called her a promising young visual storyteller. Ivy blinked at it, then looked at me like she couldn't believe it was real. "You're going," I told her. "If you want to." She didn't answer. She just threw her arms around me and stayed there, breathing against my neck. That night, while everyone else was playing a board game Ivy made herself, Dana joined me on the porch. She looked at me and said quietly, "You changed the course of this whole family." I shook my head. "I changed the course for my kid. The rest of you just caught up." She nodded. No argument. On the way home, Ivy fell asleep in the backseat with her sketchbook open on her lap. I glanced at her in the mirror, her locket shining against her shirt, her mouth slightly open in peaceful sleep, and I realized I hadn't seen her like that in years. Not guarded. Not nervous. Just safe. Me. I was done being the daughter who tiptoed around everyone else's comfort. I had become the woman who demanded better and got it. No one gave me power. I took it. For Ivy. For myself. This wasn't some cheesy holiday miracle. It was real change. Earned the hard way. This Christmas they finally gave Ivy what she'd always deserved. Love that didn't come with conditions. Respect that wasn't just lip service. A seat at the table right at the center. And the best part? She didn't have to fight for it. I did that for her. And I'd do it again.